Thanks for joining us in our podcast version of our Advent study series for 2014. We hope that this version of the study will be convenient and helpful in the midst of the busyness of life. Today we will look into our first session for the year entitled, What is Advent and What is it All About? Maybe you are in the same boat as me. Perhaps you grew up in the church, attended Grandma's Christmas Eve service every single year, saw the big purple and pink candles get lit after some fancy-sounding church words were said, and made sure never to dip your candle once it was lit to avoid searing the skin right off your hand. Even though you may be able to quote every single word in that service all the way up to Mr. Johnson's droning Mary Did You Know cover, you still may not understand it all. Perhaps you're in a different camp and all of these seemingly odd traditions that happen in churches around this time of year mean nothing to you, and all of this really just kind of sounds like gibberish. Regardless of where you fall on the spectrum, we all need a better understanding of Advent, what it means for the church, and how it is actually something we should practice every single day. To give some background, what Advent simply symbolizes is the expectation of something or someone coming. Followers of God have been practicing seasons of Advent since the fall of man. Since this time, documented in Genesis 3, the world has been expecting and waiting for redemption from its fallen nature. We see this outlined throughout the scriptures, but ultimately culminated in the two advents of Jesus. The first, the one that has already happened and in which we rest for salvation, was prophesied about even at the fall of man in Genesis 3:15. One purpose of this advent, as recorded in Isaiah 53, 7-12, was to redeem us from our sin. We see in verse 11 the statement that Jesus came to make many to be accounted righteous. The second advent of Jesus is the one yet to come, prophesied about in Revelation 22, 6 and 7, among other places, and that every Christ follower expectantly waits for. So now we see what Advent is all about. Waiting. Fun stuff, right? Waiting is something we hate. Yet, waiting is something God calls us to. Waiting can be uncomfortable, ugly, void of hope, or even just totally filled with brokenness. Yet the Lord tells us to consider it a joy when we face these things. Over this month, we will dig into the Word of God to see what He has for us relating to this topic and hopefully answer some of these questions. Would you join us in this?